Okay, welcome everybody to yet another episode. And today we have in conversation with us Pashmi Shah, who's the co-founder and head of marketing at Get-A-Whey. And if the name sounds familiar, it is not a surprise at all because Get-A-Whey was featured in the Shark Tank. And although we missed Pashmi, and we'll get to the back channel stories about that, but we bring to you Pashmi Shah today in conversation. So welcome Pashmi to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a delight to be a part of this show.
Right. So, Pashmi, the first thing, of course, that comes to mind is about the initial beginnings of Get-A-Whey, because it literally started from the kitchen of your house, I would imagine. So, tell us a little bit about that and the backstories about what really happened and how did it blossom from making a recipe at home into a flourishing business that you are today.
Back in 2018, like my brother and I have been fitness enthusiasts, and while we are belonging to a Gujarati household, like we love our desserts, and we were working out every single day, and he would force me to have his protein shake, and I was like, I don't like it, and let's just change this way. I can't take it like this. And this one fine day, we come home, and we're talking to mom, and she's in the kitchen, and we tell her that why can't we have like some healthy desserts, like why does everything have to be unhealthy? And that's when we were like, why don't you try and add whey protein to ice cream? And it was a very random suggestion, and our mom, obviously she's a very good cook, so she got onto it immediately. And the next day is when obviously the ice cream was taken out of the freezer, and it was a vanilla ice cream just with normal vanilla flavored whey protein. And Josh and I tasted it, and we realized that, oh my god, like this is amazing. Like, what if we could eat it every single day, and what if it had like amazing flavors and stuff like that? So that's when we decided that it's something that is an idea in itself, and which is not available in the Indian market, and there's such a big gap in terms of healthy but tasty foods out there. So we thought, why not scale this and make it available to consumers as well? And that's literally how we started.
Okay, so serendipity, and yeah, that led to something innovative. Amazing. And so this would have started, and I'm sure you guys would have demanded it and become regular consumers of the Getaway brand when it was not branded as such. But when did you realize that it's kind of much bigger than something that you would just have for fun or for your own benefit, and you should take it out to the world at large?
So honestly, the moment we had it, we tried this with other flavors as well. And, we tried a Belgian chocolate version of it. And, we had our friends and family try it, and they said, oh, wow, this is an amazing ice cream. And we just served it to them as ice cream. We didn't really tell them that it has whey protein and it doesn't have sugar and stuff. And then after which, when we told them, and they were so surprised, they were like, wow, this tastes so amazing. And in fact, it tastes better than your regular ice creams, because fat overpowers everything when you have a regular ice cream versus something that is very healthy. So it overpowers the taste. And that's when we realized that this is something that has huge potential, and we really need to launch it. And in fact, we didn't want to wait for it, so we immediately launched it within, I think, 3-4 months time. And Jan 2019 is when we had a very basic logo and a very basic packaging. And when we look back to it, we laugh at it. We are like, okay, I don't know why we launched it this way, but we didn't want to wait any longer. And I'm glad we did, because it just put us, in the four wheels. So that's how.
Yeah. No, it's often said that if you're not ashamed of your first creation, whether it's your first piece of writing or first product or first packaging, then
Absolutely.
you're not taking enough risks, and then you're not really an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it's funny how we laugh at our humble beginnings. So 3-4 months is pretty quick, and then from 2019 onwards, you would have stumbled into the pandemic about less than a year from your launch, right?
Yes. So, in fact, we were already there in Mumbai, Pune, and Bangalore in 2019, and we were available at Nature's Basket. We were there on Swiggy, Zomato. 2020 April is when the whole scenario changed, and honestly, we thought that, okay, this is it for us, because we can't really do much, because everything is shut. People are sitting at home, but on the contrary, we saw an insane sales spike in the month of April itself, and we got completely stocked out. And obviously, everybody was sitting at home and they wanted to try something new. We were obviously not stopping with our marketing efforts because we thought this is a good time for people to consume content, and this is a good time to introduce them to a new brand. And people are sitting at home getting bored, they would rather try something new. So that's when the
Right.
whole conversion happened. And April to August of 2020 was our highest sales ever. And we literally found like a huge customer base within Mumbai, Pune, Bangalore, and we also started getting a lot of queries from other cities that, hey, why aren't you here yet? And simultaneously a lot of PR that came through for us during that time. A lot of influencers were talking about our products, a lot of magazines were featuring us, so it sort of skyrocketed from there.
Yeah. No, you mentioned it was counterintuitive, but obviously, there is always wisdom in hindsight. So when I look back at those times, especially the April to August time frame that you mentioned, I think two things were happening at that point in time related to, of course, your category. One is that the fitness enthusiasts were not able to go to the gym, so they probably wanted, a piece of the, fitness pie, and they couldn't get it in any other form. So why not, fill it up with ice creams or with food? And I think the other thing that was happening was that there were a lot of people going through mental health issues in a depressive state of mind. And of course, sugar and ice cream is the biggest comfort food. And that may have led to a spike. And when you kind of put the two together, you had a magic formula. Of course, I'm sure, nobody would have thought of it like that pre-pandemic. But I guess, yeah, that's how it turned out to be. But what about the production and stuff? How were you managing it back then, just before the pandemic? And did it not disrupt your operations to that extent?
So absolutely right. We had a lot of bottleneck issues, and we were also into our first year of launch and trying to figure out a lot of operations by ourselves. What the good thing that came out to be in the pandemic was our product. As I mentioned, we got stocked out in April, but somehow they were allowing all F&B factories to run. So our factory was allowed to run, and we were very
Mhm.
few of them that and we decided that okay, this is probably you don't know, next week is going to be another lockdown, another lockdown. So we decided to have a production in place and have an inventory that would at least last us for a month, but it did not even last us for 2 weeks. So that whole cycle kept going. What was a sad part of things was a lot of people had lost their jobs, during the
Yeah.
pandemic, especially, your regular people who are in restaurants and things like that. So people came to us asking for jobs, and we immediately gave them one. We said, will you be okay to deliver this from a point A to point B? And that's entirely how our network got set up, with all of these people who knew, the business, because they've obviously been in restaurants and the food business, but they did
Mhm.
not have a job at that point, and they were willing to do those things. So we
Right.
had our entire operation sorted because of that.
Okay. So these were delivery people outside of the Swiggy Zomato app. So this was your
Right.
own. Okay. Okay. That's awesome. So yeah, there is always opportunity in adversity, and I think we saw several such examples of this during that period. So, looking at your journey, especially, how it started from the kitchen and kind of got it into a multi-city launch within a few months. Uh, One of the things that was kind of occurring to me was that there are pretty much, in every colony, you will find such households where moms are making, delicious food. And, there are so many instances of people having unique recipes which are not out there in the market. They mix one thing with another and create something magical, and it happens all the time. But we normally don't think that it is within us, or within the mompreneur or their children or whatever their families, to kind of take it to market. So what would be your advice to them, looking at your own experience?
So honestly, I mean, even when I look at my mom, like she's been a fantastic cook, and apart from that, she obviously has her own business. She's been handling since 30 years, but this idea never occurred to us that okay, maybe she has a great skill set. Why don't we use that and convert it to a business idea? And that's something that I feel is lacking in so many ways in India, because I feel there's so much potential of home cooked food, of like recipes that are regional, and
Right.
like in my own household, I can like name at least 10 things which you will not find at anybody else's household, because those are like recipes passed on through generations, right? So
Yeah,
I feel like honestly, even the avenues have opened up quite a bit for women and moms. People don't want to be sitting at home, and I don't think they should, right? Because at the end of the day, there's so much potential in what they do. Like even making an amazing dish is something that's not easily coming to everybody, right? So to monetize that, I think you obviously need support, right, from your family, and you need the right sort of direction that's there. But there are again so many platforms which make this happen. Like the whole cloud kitchen business has helped so many people bring this in, and I think that's a very easy route to go forward. Sitting in your own house, you can create your own brand with your own recipes. So I think Swiggy and Zomato obviously have nailed at doing things like this.
yeah. No, absolutely. I think, as they say, we are living in the new normal, and it is a time for changing mindsets. And, with the kind of technology and the enabling ecosystem that is around us, there is a lot more possible. And certainly, why should anybody not realize their full potential, whether it is a mom or a woman, or, pretty much anybody in the world for that matter. And I'm sure, your stories will be inspirational to such mompreneurs, or anybody else who wants to start a business just using their skills, whether it is making innovative recipes, or pretty much doing anything else, sitting at home, which is kind of recognized and appreciated by friends, families, and the broader neighborhood. I think there is an opportunity pretty much in every sphere. uh, but one of the things you mentioned, I believe, is key, which is support from the family. Now you've got unique situation where the business is the family, so I'm not sure who's supporting whom. But tell us a little bit about it. How are things at home, and when we speak about support from the family, what happens when pretty much everybody from the family is in the business itself? Is it a pro? Is it a con? How did it pan out for you guys?
So honestly, Josh and I both did not want to join a family business, and our parents have a family business of jewelry and diamonds, and we always wanted to move away from it, and we said no, we want to have like secure corporate jobs, and that's exactly what we did. I
Mhm.
was leading marketing for brands like Verumoda and Jack and Jones, and for almost 6.5 years, and Josh was heading the business development at a software company called Identify. And that's exactly when this idea happened, right? And we did not even think of it from the perspective that okay, now this is going to be a family business. We just thought okay, it's an idea, like okay, let's just sort of delve upon it and see how it takes us. And it
Mhm.
just somehow came to be that obviously our mom being the backbone of the whole thing, because she was running the production and the operations, and while we were still both of us in our corporate jobs, and that's when we launched the brand. So we knew what skill set each one of us are bringing to the table, and we said okay, let's go forward with this model, like we'll see how it goes. But what we also realize is it's really hard to work in an environment which is a family business startup, right? There are
Mhm.
traditional businesses which are family owned, which is a completely different model. But when there's a startup and it's a family owned startup, it's just harder, because there are so many decisions in which you need to convince each one of them that okay, I need your buy-in on this, and this is what we're moving forward with it. But the
Mhm.
good part of things is that because all of us know how each one of us operate, we use that to our advantage. And
Mhm.
we always go forward as a team, and that's something that comes very naturally when you're a family.
Right. Yeah. So I guess there are both aspects to it. But one of the things that you mentioned is that running a family business is not as difficult as running a family startup. So I guess, there is something in it for people to kind of chew over as to why that would be the case. Of course, it would depend on so many individual factors, and we can't, generalize these things, because every business is different, every person is different, every family is different. But I guess, yeah, these are interesting dynamics. Uh, One of the other things that kind of came out from what you mentioned was the fact that both you and your brother, Ash, they were working in corporate jobs, and you guys wanted to uh, kind of pursue that professional career for yourselves. So, what is that turning point which kind of convinced you that I should now leave my job behind and I should hop on board into the family business or family startup full time?
Honestly, I never thought that I would leave my job because it was fantastic, and the sort of things that I was doing, and I would say the same thing for Josh as well. And obviously, at both the organizations, like they knew that we have this entire thing that we treat like our own baby, and they were very supportive of that because these days organizations also want that entrepreneurship culture within that, and that takes
Yeah,
it to a different level. But during the pandemic is when we realized that the amount of efforts and the dedication that we put in to something that's our own baby is very different, and the sort of work that we do is far more fulfilling than you could do for anything else. And what we also realized over a period of time is we're very passionate as individuals about this, and we don't mind taking on more responsibilities. Like even today, both of us feel like while our roles are like diverse, we don't mind getting our hands dirty with even the most menial tasks, and
yeah.
that's something that you may not have to do in a corporate job, right? So it's been a fantastic learning for us, and I would say that I think it just happened to be that everything just aligned itself, and we are right now where we wanted to be. So
Yeah, no, that's amazing, and I think you never know where life takes you. We always think that we will steer our career or our life in one direction, but things just happen and they move you in the intended direction. So that's how things are. But I think the one of the other things that happens, as and you were in a marketing job, and your role is pretty similar, I would say, even though of course you have much more ownership in your own venture, as you mentioned. But one of the other things is the kind of budgetary support that you have for a corporate as compared to the nascent stage of your own venture. So how did that play out, and what are some of the creative or innovative things that you did to ensure marketing effectiveness and bang for the buck for your marketing initiatives? Although I'm sure the diamond and jewelry business would have kind of supported that, but you would still be running your own P&L, right?
So in fact, no, actually,
No,
we
okay.
have
That was presumptuous of me, but sorry about that.
no, no, that's fine. Because, obviously we wanted to have this idea going, and we wanted to do it for ourselves, right? So
Mhm.
we were completely bootstrapped, and we did not really go in for an investment at that point because we thought that,
Mhm.
maybe we are here to build something. And while obviously we were still functioning in our corporate jobs, like it was a harder shift to make because at a very early stage, like you cannot be drawing salaries, and you're not profitable, and all of those things come in, and it's literally like just taking the plunge at that moment. But what we also try to do is we operated in a very lean manner when we started, and all our marketing budgets and everything would be something that we would decide as a team that okay, this is where we're spending, let's optimize what we have. And whatever we were successful in the first 6 months, we obviously put it back all into the business, and we decided that this going forward has to be the model. And I think for all startups, like the moment you try to burn your cash really fast, like it's not going to take you to places, right? It's better to take intelligent decisions and move in a very lean manner. I think that sort of helps you manage your P&L better.
No, absolutely. I think that applies irrespective. And I guess, what the ecosystem has done, and I shouldn't be saying this in front of, successful Shark Tank contestants, but I believe what's happening is that at least there is a lot of misunderstanding of what funding is meant for, in the industry. Yeah, so I guess people have to get their bearings right, and before kind of celebrating funding as a trophy, one really needs to question what is the fund required for and how you should be spending it towards what ends of the business. And I guess these words will resonate very well with people who truly want to get value by creating bootstrap startups and squeeze the maximum out of every dollar or rupee that they are spending. But speaking of funding and the sharks, three sharks coming on board, how have things changed? And is the approach to the business changed? Is it more like a corporate now? Is it how have things changed on the ground?
So honestly, we obviously wanted to expand to a lot more cities, and the sort of reach that we've gotten through Shark Tank and the investors has been tremendous. And it's just been we are able to do this faster than what we would have had we taken an investment from probably an XYZ venture capitalist company, right? So it has definitely helped us get the ball rolling. In terms of the structure and even the sort of hiring that we're doing, definitely it's changed a lot. Like while we were a leaner team back then, in 2020, and we've grown substantially after that. But it sort of helps you put a framework. That's something that a lot of startups miss out on,
Hmm.
and uh, even with all three of them coming on board, each one of them has different expertise which helps us put us in the right direction like immediately. You don't have to wait for things to happen. They're
Right,
there to guide you right along the way, and I think all three of them belong to very different domains of expertise, and that helps us a lot because the sort of networks that we've built, we probably had 6 7 months of waiting on something like that, and with them coming in, it's just a call away. So it
right.
really accelerates the whole process.
Yeah, absolutely. I think these are some of the most underappreciated aspects of getting the right sort of people on board. Although Jimmy did mention in the show itself that uh, the biggest thing why they need funding is so that you guys can scale up before anybody else can kind of clone the product or at least do something in a similar category. So,
Right.
how's the journey been on that front? How's the growth been in the last few months?
So obviously we've seen a great scale, in terms of the sales and everything. Our other product categories that we also want to launch have sort of speeded up because obviously there's a lot of competition in the market, and it's very easy to replicate a product, right? So as we also even mentioned in the Shark Tank episode, that somebody may be able to easily replicate our concept, but they will not be able to replicate the taste, and
Yeah,
that's something that we've built on over a period of time. And we have an extremely high repeat rate of customers, and that sort of just says that okay, they come back for the taste because there are so many ice creams available in the market. So it depends on what you're picking. Also, our competition is not just limited to our category in the sense of like health sweets or health desserts or health ice creams. It's got to do with sweets in general, and the market is really big for ice cream as a category. Like our competition is also an Amul, it's also Quality Walls, it's also an Indian mithai like a laddu or a rasmalai, right? We're
right.
trying to break those consumer patterns and trying to build on changing those things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the journey is obviously it's something that's ongoing, but the destination is really far right now. So,
Yeah, it's always the journey, I guess, which is the fun, and we should enjoy the journey. And all the best to you. And hopefully, a lot of people watching this and listening to your journey will enjoy with Getaway and enjoy the getaway from the regular life and enjoy it with some desserts. So, thank you, Pashmi, once again, for speaking with us and sharing your journey and some of the backstories. I think one of the thing we missed out was, which we mentioned in the beginning, was why we missed you at the Shark Tank episode. So, are there any fun stories? What were you doing in the meantime? I guess everybody, the nation wants to know.
so in fact, I was really bummed to have missed the shoot. So when the audition happened, the audition took place in August, and all three of us went for the audition. And while pitching, I remember that both Josh and I were like, okay, this is your part, this is my part, and mom is going to talk about her recipe and things like that. And we're confidently talking about it. And then midway through our pitches, the judges, the jury that was there at that point, they mentioned that, ma'am, but the show is Hindi speaking, like, it's for a Hindi speaking audience. You need to say your pitch in Hindi. And both of us were like, oh my God, how are we going to do this? Because you can't really convert those things faster, right? And that's when our
Right.
mom took over. And she gave an insane pitch in Hindi, and she was so good at it. The moment we walked out of that audition, we told her, if we get selected, it's only going to be because of you. It's not going to be because of both of us.
Right.
And cut to, we got a call in November and saying that, okay, guys, we have a shoot in 3 days and you guys have been shortlisted, and you need to be here at this place, and you need to get your COVID test done, etc. And mom called me, and unfortunately, I wasn't here, right? So I couldn't be
Okay.
there as a part of the show. So I was like, there's no way that we can change the shoot dates, but you guys go ahead, and that should be fine as well.
Right. So you were traveling that time.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So on a getaway, I would presume. Of which kind we will let the audience wonder. Whether it was for getaway, the business, or whether it was for getaway, the leisure. Right. But yeah, on that jovial note, Pashmi, thank you once again. We'll have the excerpts of this conversation also mentioned in our article, which we'll post on our website, and you'll find the links below in the description. And thank you once again.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a really fun conversation.